The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
All right, it's episode number 35. It is 126 days till the man burns as of this recording. I pull up my phone to actually see how many days it is. And then as soon as I put how many days, it pulls up till the man burns. And then I think how many days till I lose weight or something like that is the other option. But I don't know if it's because Google knows that I've been searching for it often enough or it is one of the top ones. I know it has been one of the top ones. But it's a symptom of how much more well-known Burning Man culture has become. That it is one of the top searched items. Think about it. Every year that you go to the playa, if you've been to the playa, or if you are surrounded by people that go to the playa on the annual pilgrimage that we call Burning Man, every year it feels like there is a new batch of people asking you questions about how to go. Questions about how to pack, where do I start? Oh, I don't know anything about burner culture. And then, then you start getting into the spiel. And basically, it's any excuse people can give you to talk about Burning Man, you're going to take that inch. And all of a sudden, it's a mile. And before you know it, you've been talking their head off about Burning Man. It's really funny. One of the most common responses I get when I ask somebody, oh, hey, are you familiar with Burning Man? They'll respond, I swear, in this exact same cadence and order. Oh, yeah, Burning Man. I've heard of it. I haven't been, though, yet. But I've heard of it. And I always think in my head, no shit, you haven't been yet. I know you haven't been yet because you would be talking my head off about it if you had. So, anyway, 126 days till the next burn. I'm super not prepared for it. I can tell you the Burner Podcast team, the staff, the crew is working on an art project for the playa. We have a new team member, the amazing Ramiro Martinez. Ramiro is a graduate of the New School of Architecture, and I worked with him. Navjeen and I, our music editor, worked with him on the Wonderlust Arcade, which was one of last year's San Diego regional projects. He's an amazing artist. And he's joined the team as our official art director. That's the title he has right now anyway, unless he wants to change it. But basically it means that he's going to be in charge of the large art projects that the Burner Podcast staff is going to be building. So, there's 6 or so of us at this point that are regular staff members of Burner Podcast. And then there's other people that kind of rotate in and out depending on what needs exist. I know it's weird, right? It's just a podcast. It's just me talking on a microphone with, some random person in my apartment. And yet somehow there's a staff of 6 people it takes to run this thing. You would think it would sound a lot more professional since it takes this many people to work on it. But believe it or not, it is work. There's a lot of stuff involved. There's the updating of the things and the booking of the guests and the staying on top of things. Speaking of the need for staff, I will be announcing another new addition to the staff soon because Burner Podcast is starting our first spin-off show, of which our music editor, Navjeet, is co-producer on, or executive producer on. I don't know what title we're going to give him yet. I don't know if it fucking matters, to be honest. But it's going to be a DJ mix show. We're going to be bringing you Burner DJs twice a month. Looking forward to announcing that release date for you guys. And we've been building and collecting some amazing sets for you. So it's going to be pretty awesome. 1 week you get to listen to me babble on and then listen to our guests. And then the next week you get to listen to some music. It's going to be, I can tell you the tagline. The tagline is the soundtrack to your burn. Ooh. Very excited about sharing that with you guys very soon. Today's guest is the legendary, the amazing Lee Reynolds. Speaking of DJs, that was my transition. Lee Reynolds of Desert Hearts, of course. I mean, you probably were familiar with him before Desert Hearts exploded the way that it has recently, but Lee has been not only a very well-known member of the community for some time, he's very much had a name in the house and techno scene long before I discovered the burner community. I can tell you that much. Before Desert Hearts start to come together, before this whole new movement spawned out of Burning Man. And we're going to get into his life story, his history, growing up in the UK, shocking, surprising reason how he ended up in San Diego, which was totally a surprise to me. I'm going to leave that a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I can tell you it involves, he was an athlete. Before he was a DJ, he was an athlete. And our music editor, Navjeet, normally there's a shot drinking contest about how many times I mentioned producer Meg, but it looks like in this intro, it's our music editor, Navjeet. Navjeet had said to me, wait till he tells you about his insert athletic ability days. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's going to come up in conversation. And it did. So we're going to get into some of his background on how he ended up in San Diego, his coming up in the house and techno scene here in San Diego, his time in the Bay Area, and all the different things that he's worked on over the years. And of course, we get into Desert Hearts. Obviously, that's going to be sort of like the final act of our hero's journey, which is what's happening right now, which is the absolute explosion of Desert Hearts all over the country. And if you want to have more sort of background information about what was going on in the house and techno scene in San Diego and how it all came together and how Desert Hearts came together, I highly recommend you check out episode 11 of this very show, where our guest was none other than Mikey Lyon. And a little clue, we talk about Wu-Tang Clan a lot, which was a surprise to me as well. So make sure you check out episode 11. Episode 11 is almost like the prequel to today's episode, but today we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Today's episode is entitled simply Lee Reynolds. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no name.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah. The only thing that got me was Salvia, like unexpected. Like I'd always, my friend had been growing it, and like we've been smoking a little bit, but it,
Salvia?
yeah, I didn't really do much. But then I went over to my friend's house just like after dinner one night, and it's like, yeah, I got some Salvia. It's the 25 with the 25 extract or whatever.
Yeah.
So they take out the active ingredient and dose the leaves in it, and I smoked that, and it was nuts. It was like DMT's evil sister or something.
That's what I've heard. Like
It was like as intense as DMT, but like scary. Like I thought I was a goner. Like in my reality, it seemed like a steamroller had just like rolled over me from this direction. Like I was falling backwards, and every like time I fell a little bit more, I was like, I feel my body just like breaking apart.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm dead. There's no way I'm coming back from this.
See, every time I hear Salvia stories, I don't understand why anybody would want to do it.
No.
Like, they've never been good stories.
No, and I was in this crazy, I was lost in this maze, and then when I finally, like, started to come out of it, that was trippy too, but it was like, I felt, even for a couple of weeks afterwards, I felt like I had, like, seen something I shouldn't see. Like I got seen, like, behind the scenes of reality, and, like, I just shouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what it is. I guess, like, it's still, like, if you're a curious person, if you're a psychonaut, you're still going to want to try everything.
Yeah. Everyone else that did it in the room, I think it was the same thing too, because I smoke a lot, so I'm like, and I'd already done it a few times and hadn't done anything, so I'm like, I'm really going to hold this in.
Yeah.
Like, I just did like 3 big hits and like really held it in, and in the actual room, like I felt like I was falling backwards, but in reality, I leapt forward. They had this huge, longest coffee table you've ever seen, like a surfboard coffee table full of like, they hadn't cleaned up for a bit, so it's just like full of beer bottles and ashtrays. And I like lunged onto that, like knocked everything off. I was like groaning. And
What happens with Salvia if you smoke just a little bit?
then you get this like, then it's a little bit like DMT, like if you smoke just a little bit of DMT, where you get just like these crazy like
the visuals.
Yeah, visuals, like crazy visuals.
Yeah, because like the guy at the smoke shop we were at a few weeks ago was saying that like these teenagers like come and buy it because it's legal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These teenagers come and buy it and they'll smoke it and they skateboard home.
Yeah.
So I imagine skateboarding on a little bit of Salvia could be kind of fun.
Yeah, smoke a little bit. I think it just makes everything. Yeah, makes everything like super psychedelic.
Wow.
But
okay.
Yeah, I've been like scared of it since then. Funnily enough, I tried it again like a week or so later, and it had the exact same experience. So I'm like, right, I know what it does to me.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what I've always heard. But like with DMT though, it's I've heard about the hell stories. I've yet to experience one, and my understanding of it, like based on, are you familiar with Graham Hancock?
Oh yeah, I love Graham Hancock.
There you go. Yeah,
Funny
he tells his hell story.
Yeah,
where he says that he took the last hit, and the last hit he's sitting there alone in his house, and he takes the last hit, and the last hit he takes, the last thing he hears before the world goes dark is, "You're ours now." And he's like, well, fuck. And then goes to the other dimension, and then he gets like torn apart, ripped apart by these like demon, things. And then when he comes back, he realizes that he'd come back with a tough love lesson.
Yeah.
Because they'd been trying to give him a lesson about how he was treating his family and friends.
Right.
Because of what he considered was a marijuana addiction. He was smoking like every single day.
I just heard him talking about his marijuana addiction, yeah.
And he said that he came back and it was like, it's as if the DMT was trying to tell him nicely for a while and he wasn't listening.
Right.
He's like, all right, now we got to give it to you for real.
That's so funny. Yeah, I knew that he had quit smoking weed recently, but I didn't know it was because of the DMT trip.
Yeah, his DMT
Well, at least
trip.
he's cut back. I don't know if he quit entirely, but I think he's been like vaping a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't hung out with the guy yet, so.
I'd love to meet him. I'm like, I mean, I'm obsessed with like ancient history and like the real like history of mankind. Like ever since I was a kid, I like was obsessed with the pyramids and UFOs. I had all these like, it's like pre-internet days, so I had like all these like book collections of like the unexplained mysteries and.
Where was this? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in England.
Okay. Where in England?
I was born in Oxford, but I grew up in Wales in like a little town called Monmouth, which is like a pretty awesome place to grow up. It's super historic. It's supposed to be like one of the UK's like most haunted towns. It's like three rivers cross. So it formed like a perfect, defensive spot back in the day. So it's somewhere that was like, it's been populated for a long time because, it's like fishing on every side and it's like defended by the water. So yeah, when you're a kid, it's a really small town, so I could go anywhere and do anything.
How far was it from Oxford?
It was like an hour or two from Oxford, hour and a half probably.
And Oxford's like an hour from London, right?
Oxford's like an hour from London. That's where most of my family live. My parents live like an hour north of London now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it gets closer and it gets shorter and shorter because it's like a direct train route to London from where they are, and now they have all the Virgin trains are operating.
Yeah.
Like it's not a monopoly like it used to be. Like Virgin came in and run trains that can get there in like 25 minutes or something. So that's really cool.
What did your parents do? What was life like over there?
Oh, it's great. My parents were like, I grew up pretty poor. Like my mom had me when she was 15, and so we moved to Wales to live. Like my dad had family out there that had a farm, and they let us put a trailer on the farm to live. Like while they saved up for a house, and yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was cool. Cool having young parents.
Yeah. What kind of stuff would you guys do? Were they very musically inclined people? Is that where it started?
They like music. They listen to some good stuff like Queen and they got me to some good stuff. But no, I was living in the country. I rode BMX bikes. I got like super into that from the age of like 9 or 10 when it first started, really. And then I was like British champion at doing that, like riding like half pipes and
what year was that?
Whatever. 86, 87,
okay.
86, 87. And then I got done with high school, and I was like, I was pretty academic, but like I didn't really have any interest in going to college. Like I tried for a couple of months, and I just really wanted to like get out and experience the world, and came out to California when I was 17.
What was it? It was just exploration that was driving you at that time, or was it
Well,
art?
because of what I was doing riding BMX, like San Diego and LA, like Southern California was like the epicenter for that. That's where the magazines were. It's where all the big bike sponsors were.
Wow.
And I already had a bike sponsor. I already had a bike sponsor that was out here anyway. And so I came out for a month to like check it out, and I was like, man, I'm gonna stay. I'm staying here.
This was at 18?
17.
17.
Yeah, right before I turned 18. Yeah,
Wow.
we
Okay.
got here, yeah. Went back to England, like sold my car and as much as I could, and then came back out, and I was like staying couch surfing, trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and then I got sponsored by a bigger bike company. Got to go on tour, toured all around the US, like in '89. Did like 40 states or something, like doing shows all over the place. Met like tons of people, and it was a good lesson because like it taught me that like I knew long before The Secret came out. I realized that if you like visualize something and you want like you've got it set in your head that you want to do it, because like my bedroom in England was just adorned of like with wall to wall like posters of guys pretty much all in California riding bikes, and then within a year or two, like I was that guy, and I was like, like people were putting posters of me on their wall, and I was like, fuck, I did it. But ultimately, I like broke my leg too many times and had like too many injuries, and then the bottom kind of fell out of the industry. It like kind of went into a slump, and that's when I started DJing and getting more into that.
So around that time period, the late 80s, like that was sort of where was the golden age of the sport, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's gone through kind of a renaissance now. It's like, it's good again, but I think that was definitely the golden age of the sport. Yeah. It's like things have changed so much now, now it's like there's not even, magazines aren't what they used to be. That used to be kind of like the, getting a picture in the magazine. Like I remember getting my first picture in a magazine, and like riding down like a mile to the news agents in my parents' little village every day, and like, did it come out yet? They're like, no, it's not here yet. I'd come back next day, did it come yet? And
Yeah.
Like now it's all like online, and
and also like it goes by so much faster that it doesn't have a stronger relevance, like getting a photo in a blog or something.
Yeah.
So
things have changed for sure now.
So where did DJing come in?
Well, there's always like a tie between like, I was always into music, obviously. Like growing up in England, like you can't help but be into music. Like everyone's in a band or doing something, and people that.
Yeah, I could never figure out what it is. Like every time I hear music that I'm really into, regardless of genre, when I start looking up the bio, it turns out to be that they have British roots, and I don't know if it's just a personal thing or what.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of good music comes out of England.
Why is that?
And like places. Well, I think because, especially when I was younger, and even now, I think it's like most people that live there, like, are driven to do something to get out of there. Like, it was like the grass always seems so much greener on the other side. Although I love England, but I know when I was there, I was just driven to do something to get me out of there. And I think good music comes from people that are a little bit more, have more angst too, and like have it a little rougher. And like I have this whole like theory actually about like the further the further you live from the equator to the pole, like the more chance you have of like not being intelligent. 'Cause I know that people, but like I just got back from being down in like southern Mexico and Costa Rica, and that's not even at the equator yet. And I know that like when you get up in general, it's like you don't really feel like doing very much. It's just like you're just kind of going to go through the day, and it's like it's great. But like if you live in like Iceland, you're going to get up and be like, what am I? I need to like make some music or read a book or do something.
So the equator people are just like more. What?
Just like
more mellow.
Yeah, there's not. Cause, like, there aren't any.
Let's drive.
There aren't really famous people from like Hawaii. Or like those people are just content to like do their thing, which is totally great. I would love to do that too. But I think
that's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about it. I imagine the culture. I
guess in colder places. Yeah, in colder places.
Yeah, you go to Seattle or London. Like all the best fashion comes from cold places.
Don't they say all the best American comedians are Canadian?
Yeah, yeah. So what? So tell me about the DJing. So like, at what point? What was the first time you touched the deck? Like, how did that come in?
That would be like in the early 90s. I ended up moving to downtown San Diego. I had to go back for England. I had to go back to England for a little bit because I broke my leg. I was kind of at the peak of my BMX thing. Ended up like breaking my leg super bad. Right before I was going to sign a contract with my bike company, and so I ended up having to move back to England. And when I moved back there,
Did the company like?
I know how candid I can be, but slightly maybe like a couple of months before that, I had never partied. I was always just been a big time drinker.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes with that scene too, like the action sports scene. It's kind of like a little bit macho and like ego driven. And
There's a lot of extremes.
Yeah, it's a lot of extreme, a lot of testosterone, a lot of adrenaline. And I had this girl we've been dating for a long time, and there was this other couple that they were settling down, and they wanted to get married and have kids. And this was like right at when ecstasy had just become illegal, I think, in San Diego. But it had been like legal for a long time, and like these guys have been doing it.
It's big in Texas.
Yeah. And then so they're like we want to do it one more time before we settle down, before we have kids. And like, will you do it with us? And I was like, I'm not, I've never done drugs. And then so yeah, they taught me into doing that. I just fucking had the most amazing time like ever. I was just like, loved it, couldn't believe it.
What were you guys doing? Where were you?
We went to Club Post Nucleo, which is in Laguna Beach. I was like super into The Cure and Susie and the Banshees and like New Order and Depeche Mode, and so we went to this like goth club. And I remember I was like always a bit self-conscious about dancing, which is like ironic now because I'm not at all. But like, yeah, I remember like at one point I was like out in the dance floor like doing this like gothy dance, and I was like, man, this is the best thing ever.
How long did that first roll last?
I mean, it was good back then. I mean, it seemed like all night, and then I remember on the drive home, like all the lights being like that first time, you know, all the lights are super dazzly, and I was like looking at my hand. Like,
now, do you think? So I've seen this argument between a lot of people. Do you think it's because the stuff back then was a lot better, or because like tolerance is different now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that was a long time ago. I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I still do it all the time, and it's like I still, you know. There's some moments where it's good.
Yeah. I find that it drains me more these days.
Yeah, it does me too. That's the only thing I don't like. I'm 45 now, and yeah, that's the only thing I can't like rage it like I used to for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you do so you do it for the first time.
Yeah, so I did that, and then shortly after that, I had to go. I broke my leg and had to go back to England, and all my friends that I had been riding with over there had pretty much stopped riding. They were all like, you know, partying and.
Let me ask something. When you broke your leg, how did it hit you psychologically?
It was pretty bad actually. Just because I was like really like at the peak of like doing it was like a week before like the last contest of the year, and everyone thought that I had a chance I had been on tour all summer, so I was riding really good, had a chance of like maybe winning this contest, and like, you know, would have been great. Like I was supposed to, the bike company I was riding for, Horror Bikes, there was tour. I know I had never been on salary before. I'd always got paid to do shows, but like next year I was going to actually be under contract. So if I'd broke my leg, like after I'd signed the contract, then I would have been fine. I'd have got paid for the next year. But because I broke it before I signed the contract, I was like, I had nothing. And they were going to give me.
What does a contract like that entail? Like, are you using your equipment?
Then at that point, you're just like, you know, getting in the magazines as much as you can and doing whatever shows. They're sending you to the contest, trying to win contests, and I was supposed to have like a signature bike and all that kind of stuff. But
and if you don't win enough of them, do they drop you from the?
Well, they just review your contract the next year. You know, see if they're going to keep you or give you a pay raise or a pay cut.
Interesting. Okay.
But at the time it was pretty depressing. But
how did you break it? What happened?
In retrospect, I had a photo shoot scheduled with a magazine from LA that I'd already postponed it a couple of times. There've been a couple of reasons, and then the night, same thing. I was like, with my girlfriend, same couple actually that we did the ecstasy with. We went out with them, ended up like getting drunk on vodka. I remember it was one of my first times getting really drunk on vodka. And woke up with a gnarly hangover. Tried to call the guy, but he'd already left Riverside to drive down. And so I'm like, I'm just going to do it anyways. And,
oh, man.
And, it's just not riding that good. And then I just went off the side of the ramp and my foot got like tangled up in the front of the bike, and so when I landed, I fell over and my foot just like stayed there. Like you could hear it too, just like when they break celery in the movie or whatever. It's like,
oh my God.
yeah. I mean, the adrenaline takes over. It's like immediately just jump up and look down, and my foot's like pointing off in a direction that it's not supposed to be.
Yeah. Do they does your sponsor have like insurance for you? So did you have like medical insurance?
No, I didn't have insurance at the time.
Yeah. So you had to go to your emergency room, get that.
I was here illegally too. I was like,
everyone else was an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, I was an illegal immigrant.
Taking our jobs.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a BMX rider.
I know, right?
So you end up having to go back to stay.
Yeah, so I had to go back to
home.
England, and then when I was over there, I started going out to more clubs and like getting a little bit more into that, and then I came back over here and started doing shows again. The bottom had fallen out of the BMX industry, but I was able to get shows doing Just Say No to Drugs assemblies at like high school, at like more like elementary schools,
like the
junior high
that you're
schools.
sitting next to right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And we did like school assemblies, and I ended up. There were two of us who did the shows together. I would do the ramp part, and then we had like the flatland rider. We were both like best buddies, and we lived together downtown. And
so you came back and you were writing still. But
I was writing still, but there was
anymore?
it wasn't competitively. There was not very much magazine stuff going on.
Like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah. It was like the Harlem. Yeah. I was just making money doing it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that would be nice. We were living downtown in the gas lamp, which was a lot different back then.
Yeah.
But there was a night called Geraldine's. There was a place called Geraldine's where they would have stuff on the weekends, and my buddy Marky Quark would DJ. He was like one of the big San Diego DJs at the time, and Barry Weaver. And
what style of music was he spinning?
That was house music.
Okay.
Yep.
What was the house scene like back then? I'm assuming when you were even in England, you were
actually
looking at house
surprisingly good. Like San Diego used to have like a really good rave scene. Some people like hate the term rave, but I still think Desert Hearts is a rave. To me, it's a rave.
It's because people are associating it with a different thing today.
Yeah.
But rave is where it all came from.
Yeah, and San Diego used to have like a great scene. Like Doc Martin would be down here, like frequently, and a lot of there's a lot of crossover between LA and San Diego, and they were like big parties. There was a party called Narnia in like 91 and 92, which was like a huge like outdoor desert festival, basically.
Yeah.
And there would be like thousands of people going out to parties here back then. But
how would you compare the scene that you were seeing here in San Diego versus back home in England?
I liked it better, like, because I don't know, there's...
At that time?
Yeah, at that time. Well, when we got to parties there, it's like there wasn't much going on where I lived, so you'd always be going into London with a few friends, so it's like kind of intimidating, almost. You go to this party where you're just with a couple of your kids and there's a couple of people and you don't know anybody. It was like, in San Diego, I always felt like it was a really great community. Like I knew everyone, and you'd go out and see all your friends every weekend. And
that's interesting.
But then I'm not really sure what happened, but the music, at that point it was just dance music. There wasn't like, it was like house techno, but there weren't like separate parties for different like genres of music.
Yeah.
And then when, like drum and bass came in and it seemed like the music kind of split off into like a bunch of different genres and subgenres, and there would be parties for all of those in San Diego, but like not enough people in San Diego to really support that many scenes.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it just like fragmented.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's how I felt.
Yeah. So when it was all sort of under the same umbrella, there was a critical mass happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So what BPM were they at that time?
Back then, it was like anywhere from like 115 to 130 BPM, I think.
And it would like fluctuate throughout the set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depend on the DJs. Some DJs would play like faster, and now it's like that's why I think now it's like. I think everything's coming back around now. The music's found like, that perfect tempo. I think it's like, 123, 124. And I think the music now has like aspects of all like those different genres, It's like techno, house, electro. Yeah. I hate the name. I hate that like electro has like a bad connotation now too, because that was like, for a long time when people asked me what I would DJ, I'd tell them electro.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to say house, because house for a while just seemed like I thought of it as being kind of cheesy.
Yeah,
like
it was almost a cop out.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like also like progressive house. Like I mean, there was always that argument about progressive house versus trance.
Right.
You know, and then like now progressive house, like what most people consider to be progressive house is like the big EDM music at EDC or something.
Yeah.
And then like you hear like somebody like Jeremy Olander or like, you know, Eric Prydz, like that's progressive house. Like they're like, how the fuck are we in the same genre as these other guys?
Right.
It's fascinating though. So, at what point did you start DJing?
So that was like the early 90s, probably around 92. I got really into like into ambient music, and
Why ambient music?
I don't know. I think probably because I was doing a lot of acid.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right, that'll do it.
Yeah. And that's what I was just all about, like the chill out vibes, like the KLF and the Orb and Future Sound of London and Brian Eno and all of that, mixing like old and new stuff. So I started doing like ambient nights around San Diego, and I would do the ambient room at Romper Room at the time. Was kind of like the big like weekend thing that would happen, where they'd have big DJs in the other room, and then
I want to go back. I want to know literally like the first time like you started like spinning and you were on the decks. Like, did you have a mentor? Did you just start doing it on your own?
No, I definitely didn't have a mentor. Let's see.
What happened that you're like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot?
Yeah, I remember I was like always into. Well, I have a vintage clothing store now, but I've always been into like vintage shopping and stuff like that. So I remember like picking up finding some turntables, and I had like a little record collection going. I was finding like, you know, like Tangerine Dream and all this old like trippy weird stuff like Brian Eno, like I said. And
do you remember your first decks? Do you remember how they came into your possession?
From a thrift store, I had like a couple that were really cool. I can't remember what brand they were, but they had pitch control and they were like super nice. But within not too long after that, I bought my first Techniques for sure, and I bought that from the Good Guys.
I remember the Good Guys. Yeah,
it was cheap
still around?
too. It was like $250. I'm not sure.
I don't think the Good Guys is still around. They got like eaten up by Circuit City or something, and then I think they closed out.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they had good deals.
What was it something that came to you very naturally? How was the learning curve?
The DJing? Yeah. Well, at first I was DJing ambient music, which is like, you know, you're not really matching beats. It's more like tones and frequencies and vibe. And then after a while, I got started more into like the ambient dub. I started playing like more like down tempo, and that's what got me into like mixing the beats. It took me a little while to pick it up because, yeah, like I said, I never had a mentor or anything like that. And also I was playing, you know, nowadays it's pretty easy. Like once you get into a style, like you get music, it's all within like a couple of BPM tempo range. Yeah. But back then I was like pulling stuff together that was like, you know, a wide range of tempos, so like trying to figure out how to mix it together. It's hard to search for too.
Like you're probably spending a lot of time at Tower Records. And
All over the place.
Yeah, collecting things.
Yeah. Luckily, we'd go back to England. You know, back then we'd go back at least once a year, and I would go into London, and there's this place there called the Tape and Record or Video Exchange, Video and Record Exchange. Yeah. They have a chain of them all over London, and they just have like basements. They just have packed with like the best used records, like stuff that back then, because of the lag, like I could find stuff used there that hadn't even come out over here. Yeah, you know, like because of all the promos that got pushed into London, a lot of people wouldn't even listen to them. They would just take them to the record shop.
Yeah. How often would you go back?
Like once a year. Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
And I'd always come back here with like a full like crate of records.
Okay. So you start doing like these nights around at different venues around San Diego.
Yeah, so I started doing that, and then that kind of climaxed with us doing this like really big party downtown where we like flew in. It was like a huge production. We flew in DJs from like New York and San Francisco and another like local party that was going on that night, like called us in basically. Like, called us into Vice, and our party ended up like getting shut down. Like it was this big, it was a big fiasco. And at the same time, I started dating. Well, I was married, and my best friend that I threw the party with.
Wait, hold on. When did marriage happen? How old were
Marriage
you?
happened at some point. I'd only been married like a year or so, a year or two.
Okay.
So I was trying to I need to get my green card to stay here, basically.
Yeah.
So I got
Was she
married.
aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she was a nice girl.
Yeah.
But, it had been just like, we'd hang out with my friend and his girlfriend, Zoe, at the time. We'd known each other for years. Anyway, we ended up like falling in love and got together. And that was like, at the same time, this party got busted and blah, blah, blah. I was like, we decided to, and then she got pregnant too. So all the shit went down. So we decided to get out of San Diego for a little bit.
A bunch of things at the same time.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff at the same time. So like, let's go to the Bay Area. So we headed up to the Bay Area.
Can you talk about the party getting busted?
Yeah, it was.
Is there enough time has passed?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. They just like came and busted in. I ended up having to pay a fine and whatever.
You were doing like a warehouse party?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you took some time out of San Diego. You said you go to LA?
So we moved up to the Bay Area.
Oh, Bay Area.
My wife actually got a job for Fox. Fox, the motocross company.
Yeah.
At the time, they just had their moto line, and they wanted to do a sportswear line. And she had just gotten done with design school, and so they hired her to design their sportswear line, which is now like huge. It's like in malls and shit. So she took that job. We moved up to the Bay Area during like the peak of like the whole Silicon Valley boom, where it was like ridiculously expensive. And we were like, when they first hired her, they're like, I mean, this was like in the like 90s, but like 96, we just had a kid, 96, 97, and we're like, I'm like, they're gonna pay you $28,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit! I thought like, we were rich. We like we moved up there and like our rent doubled, and but she ended up working there for a long time and doing really good. And
so what were you doing? Did you get into the music scene over there?
Yep, I was DJing a lot. I would go into the city and DJ, and then I was a stay-home dad. I was like buying a lot of records, working on music. And then what
was the scene like over there compared to San Diego?
At the time, I didn't love it. It like seemed like people were really into house music, but like just not the kind of house music I like. Like really like a lot of diva kind of, I don't know.
More like the funky stuff.
Yeah, too funky, not dark enough or weird enough.
And it sounds like more like Ministry of Sound type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone would think the stuff I played was too weird. Like I hadn't really found my niche particularly, we'd end up having like crazy parties at our house because, that was like the most fun to us, just like have everyone we know. We formed like a good network of friends. And
I wonder if the stronger presence of the gay community in San Francisco and Bay Area had an effect on the kind of house that was more popular there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always had like a lot of my best friends have always been gay people, so I always feel like I'm like pretty connected to that scene. But even for them, I don't know what it was. I guess it must have had something to do with that. But,
so how long were you up there?
We were up there 5 years. I ended up actually working for Fox too. They hired me because I had a background in BMX. Like after they launched the sportswear line, then they decided they wanted to do a mountain bike and BMX line. So they hired me to do that. So we did like the whole full like corporate thing where we both like worked for this like big company.
What did they hire you to do?
Design their BMX and mountain bike apparel.
Oh, cool.
So I like would design like all the crazy gloves that had like all the little detail and like crazy shirts that like couldn't be over embellished enough. Like the more like detail, like.
So where did your background in design come from? How are they?
That's a good question too. Yeah, I've always been involved in. I guess since I moved to San Diego, I've always known people that had clothing companies. So I've always like been involved in like the action sports, going to the action sports shows and helping people do like little bits of design, but it just a little bit here and there, and then.
So you're illustrating by hand?
No, with Illustrator and Photoshop.
Okay. Even when you were in the Bay Area at that time, it was all through Adobe Suite?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know what version they're on then, but yeah, it was pretty crazy actually. Like I had only been using Illustrator, well, I guess for a few years, doing like little bits of design. I was always interested in it. And then I did a couple of freelance t-shirt designs for them that they ended up buying. And then they're like, hey,
Fox. After you did that, they're like, okay, this guy can
hey,
do
you
it.
want this job? And I'm like, fuck yeah. And then
That's awesome.
I was literally getting like, paid to like learn how to use that stuff. Cause like, I remember like after I'd been there like a while, like thinking, man, I could do stuff so much quicker than when I started. I'm like, they literally just pay me to learn this shit.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And they would like send me to like, they sent me to Europe to go to bike shows. They would send me to the X Games, and yeah, it was pretty crazy.
And DJ on the side.
Ironically, they like gave me and my lady in a company at the time of like 300 people. I'm sure it's a lot more now. They gave us adjoining desks, so we would like drive to work together, and then we should literally. I'd be facing this way, and she'd be facing that way, and we had a little island in between. Yeah. So we could just like turn around and we'd just smoke weed all the way to work, get as baked as we could.
It's amazing. Where was their office?
Morgan Hill.
Okay.
Which is like a little south of San Jose. So that was the only thing, is like we couldn't quite live in
the city.
We couldn't live in the city. We lived in Los Gatos, so it's like an hour from the city. So we went up there a lot.
How long were you up there?
5 years.
Okay.
And then we decided to come back to San Diego because we just love it here so much. But it was definitely a shock as far as we did, like I said, we did the whole corporate thing. So we were like earning like for a while there. We were like, it was like money was coming in, and then we came back down here, and it's just like there's not really that kind of industry in San Diego.
What made you decide to leave? What was the conversation?
We just wanted to be like back here with like more. We have more family down here, like my wife's family, and I have a stepdaughter whose dad's down here, and she would always be back and forth. But,
So did you was there like an exit strategy? Did you like save up money and decide you're gonna get out of there, or just like nope,
not
out of
really.
here?
Just threw caution to the wind. Lived off our credit cards for a while until we could figure shit out.
Well, how did you figure it out down here? What happened?
She ended up getting like some design jobs up in North County. There's like, it just was never stuff that she loved. Like she was working for Jet Pilot for a little bit, doing like some action sports stuff. And then she got a job working for Callaway, the golf company. And she was like, first of all, she'd have to commute up to San Marcos, but then she'd be like, if I have to fucking design another polo shirt, I'm going to lose it.
And what are you doing during this time?
During that time, I was... I actually got a job working. My friend he's an artist, and he has a print shop over in Normal Heights. He's actually one of our artists for Desert Hearts. And I was trying my best not to find a job, really, but our kids were going to school together. And so we'd see them, like when we picked the kids up from school. Our kids became best friends. They ended up taking our kid to Disneyland, I think, and then we bumped into them at Coachella. I'm like, hey, well, you should come over for dinner. So we went over to their house for dinner, and he's like, and then my wife Zoe was like, yeah, Lee needs a job, and he's like, okay, well, come in tomorrow morning. And then I was there for like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he was awesome.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a great artist. He does this cool like Zedism. He does these big pieces for Desert Hearts, and he does a lot of like, communal art stuff.
So at what point did Burning Man come into your life?
2001.
Okay.
I mean, I'd heard about it obviously a lot before then.
So this is pre-Desert Hearts, if I'm...
That's like way pre-Desert.
Way pre, yeah. Because I'm thinking about... Because we had Mikey Lyon on the show, so I'm like trying to get the parallels of the story.
Yeah. So in 2001, we were still living in Los Gatos, and we had some friends from coming over from England that... We had a 5-year-old daughter at the time, so we had some friends coming over from England for Burning Man, and we're like, well, just come by, since you're over, come by and hang out with us. So they came by and like partied with us.
So you were already familiar with Burning Man. I mean, you live in San Francisco, so
I was like totally, I was totally.
You knew what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So
no interest in going though. Yeah,
but up until that point, it wasn't really a possibility when we lived in San Diego, just we didn't have the money or the resources. And then, and then we'd been living in the Bay Area, heard about it, but we had a little kid and we didn't really have we didn't have family up there. So
Nobody to watch the kid.
yeah, that's why we were partying at our house so much.
Yeah.
But this particular year, 2001, they came by and they were just like, we had so much fun hanging out with them, and they're like, you gotta come. And we just literally spontaneously decided to go. We used to have a Volkswagen Euro van, so we just loaded up and actually took our kid with us.
Yeah.
We just like, fuck it.
Nice.
Like, went out and had a great time. It was like $250 at the door or something then. So it's like,
What's the first thing that punched you in the face when you walked in there?
probably like right when we got there, there was just a couple of like fully naked people. I guess that was like at that time. I'm not sure. Just the vastness of it, I guess, and just seeing so many people like expressing themselves, and I don't know, but it was like definitely the biggest shocker I think was between going that time, because I think there's probably like 25,000 people out there at that point. No LED lights.
Yeah.
No, people didn't have access to like CNC machines, like the technology they have now. So the next time I went,
Well, so it was all like fire lit back then.
like firelit and like incandescent bulbs, and
Fascinating.
you couldn't even see. I mean, it was nowhere near as big, but I remember you couldn't see the other side. Like we were like right on one end over here. What that is right now, but like you couldn't see across to the other side, not at nighttime or the daytime. And now when you go into the Esplanade, it's just it's like Vegas, right? It's like
Yeah, it's to me the most fascinating part of it is completely wrecks any kind of depth perception you might have.
oh yeah.
Like you think you're getting closer to a cluster of lights, but then it turns out it's just one light, and behind it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was trying to find Charlie the Unicorn, which I was supposed to DJ on one night, and I was just riding my bike around for hours, couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Thinking I could see it. It's so fun though.
Did you DJ at all that first year?
The first year, just a little bit on my friend's camp, like nothing too crazy. There was definitely a lot different musically back then. It was, I had a hard time finding any music that I was really into. It was a lot of drum and bass and trance, and
Wow.
definitely.
There's a lot of trance. Fucking hell! So I'm a big trance guy, and so like that's been just like something that's been missing
Now it's
from my
all
life
deep
forever.
house.
Yeah.
Literally now it's like now when I go, it's just like, wow, it's crazy.
So were you hooked immediately? What was your reaction after coming out of it?
Well, I guess it was a different experience because I went with my kids, so I couldn't like party too hard, and I loved it, but I've never, I don't think I would ever get in the habit of going every year because it is like such an experience, such a crazy. Try and pace it out a little bit, but after that we ended up moving back down here to San Diego, and then like I said, we were like, money wasn't as prevalent, so. Next time I went was, let's see, 3 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
Yeah, I took like a long hiatus. Pretty much like when, right when the kids moved out. Like our kids have all moved out now, so we're having like a second teenage, like this whole like Desert Hearts thing and me DJing more is like happened at a perfect time because, I don't have to like worry so much about it.
Burner Podcast.
Hey, have you guys heard about Figment? I don't know if you've heard about Figment, but I'm going to tell you about Figment. I'm going to read you the blurb real quick from their own official description. Founded in 2007 on New York City's Governor's Island, what began as a few thousand enthusiasts enjoying a handful of participatory art projects on a sunny July afternoon has ballooned into a multi-day, multi-city event that drew over 30,000 participants in New York City, Boston, Jackson, Mississippi, and Detroit in 2011. In 2016, however, Figment seeks to continue its mission to offer free, inclusive, and participatory art to entire communities, removing the barriers of museum and gallery walls and entrance fees, and blurring the lines between those who create and those who enjoy art. The long and short of it, guys, the best way that I describe Figment to people is, you know how like when you're on the playa or you're at a regional and you're seeing all this cool Burning Man art and you're thinking like, gosh, I would love to show this to my sweet and loving Aunt Dora. Well, At Figment, it's all of that, and it's set up in a more accessible environment, such as Governor's Island, or in San Diego, it's at Chicano Park. So you can bring your sweet and loving Aunt Dora for like an hour or two, and they can come and meet some burners and experience some burner art. I took my mom last year, so it's pretty cool. And the reason that I am telling you about Figment is because the call for artists' submissions for Figment San Diego specifically goes through June 1st of 2016. Figment itself, the actual event, is going to be June 11th. It starts at 10 a.m., ends at 6 p.m. That's Figment San Diego. If you want more information on Figment San Diego, go to sandiego.figmentproject.org. If you want to learn about a Figment happening closer to your particular neck of the woods, depending on where in the world you are, go to figmentproject.org. And if you don't have one near you, perhaps you can help build one in your area, in your town, in your region. It's a pretty beautiful event. It's pretty awesome. Wanted to bring your attention to that. Go to figmentproject.org or sandiego.figmentproject.org for more information and all that. Let's get back to Lee Reynolds.
Welcome home.
So let's see. So it's 2001, and then what happens over the course of that time period between your first burn and Desert Hearts?
We moved back to San Diego. Wasn't much going on in San Diego at all, really. Like, again, nothing that I really I connected with musically. So just started same thing at first. We just started throwing parties at our house, really, just like meeting people, like through friends, and kind of outgrew that, and so started like doing nights at like Carver Lounge and different places like that. This little bar called Kadan. Me and Marky Quark, who is the guy I was telling you about, one of the first DJs that I heard here in San Diego and was inspired by. Me and him decided to start doing a night together with another friend of mine called Matt Bob Dazzler is his DJ name. Mm-hmm. And we started doing a night over at Kadan's, and that was fun. It was like a good mix of like
what year was this?
Older and younger. That would have been, by then, it was probably about 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. In between then, I had done nights with like Barry Weaver, who's another old like San Diego DJ. So I'd been doing nights in San Diego and like trying to keep stuff going. But nothing had really like taken off particularly. I mean, they're all good. They were all just good, little nights, like, just sustaining themselves, but nothing crazy. And then Moonshake had been going about 3 years, and I heard about these kids doing a night in North County, like house and techno, and went up there. They asked me to DJ, so I went up there, and it was Mikey and Marbs and Deep Jesus and Pork Chop. And I was like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, there's other people in San Diego that like this music, and not only that, just like a totally fresh crowd of like young, energetic and respectful people. And I loved the music they were playing, and just like we all just like bonded like instantly, like loved them all. They came down, so they would start coming down and going to my night, Moonshake. We'd like go to their night and had them DJ at my night, and then we'd also at the same time.
It's like a crossover of superhero comics.
It was perfect because my crowd was like, a lot of older people from like people my age, a lot of gay people. Mm-hmm. Like it was like a mix, and then they had like kind of the North County like a lot of really cute girls and cute guys and.
There was a big. I've always observed like there's like a big raver community in North County as well.
Yeah,
and I imagine it's connected to a little bit.
Call them ravers.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I imagine it's connected to the same thing you were describing, which is like there's less to do there.
yeah.
So they build a scene.
Yeah, and then we would start going out. I mean, San Diego's always had like a good, desert party scene, and we'd find ourselves going out to a lot of these parties together to DJ, but. A lot of the time we wouldn't be DJing like next to each other, and we were always like, wow, the flow, like these guys don't know how to like program a party. It's like, they'll have like you get the dance floor going, and then they put on like a down tempo DJ after.
Yeah.
It seemed like it seemed like the DJs were just like randomly picked to play. It didn't seem like there was any flow to it to us or whatever. So we're like, I mean, we know what we liked, which is house and techno. But even that like covers a pretty big, you know, there's a lot of variation in there too. And you can have like your trippy morning like stuff, and then you like more high energy and like late night dark techno. And so we're like, what if we just threw our own desert party, and you know, tried to program the perfect lineup where it was like, you know, perfect music for sunrise, perfect. And so we did that, and we teamed up with this other guy, Christoph, who had already thrown a couple of little outdoor renegade parties. And it wasn't like we ever expected it to be anything. It was a renegade party. It was like we threw it on BLM land. Just kind of rolled the dice. You know, the weather was terrible. It was like, it looked like the rain never came to the party, but it looked like it was raining all around the party, which definitely deterred some people. It like got below freezing. We had sound problems where like our original sound guy, the day of the party, just was AOL. Like no one had heard from him for, you know, we hadn't heard from him. Apparently he was, I don't know what was going on, but we had to like at the last minute find a new sound system, and had to call around and end up hooking up with these guys, Funkworks, who were the guys that Mikey and I had just played on the Woogie stage at LIB, and those were the sound guys, and we got their number, and they like came right out there, you know, as quick as they could. It took a few hours, but they like basically saved the day. So they've always been like, since then they've been our sound guys, and which is perfect because they're amazing. But anyways, the party, there was maybe like less than 300 people at the party, like 200 and something people like actually showed up, but like it was like the middle of the night, you know, and the dance hall was packed. Like everyone that was there was on the dance floor. And like every desert party I'd been to before then, it would be like people. It wasn't so much about the dance floor. People would be hanging out, doing their stuff. It wasn't everyone's like raging.
The one vibe, yeah.
Yeah, the one vibe. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I think we're onto something here. This could really be something. And then after the party, like the feedback that we got from everybody was just like overwhelming. We're just like, oh my God, people love that, you know? So yeah, we did the next one. We started planning our next one, and then that one was like 800 people. Yeah. And then it was like 1,200 people, and then it was like 2,000 people. And so.
What was your first Utopia?
Probably like 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was, here's my Lee Reynolds story. My first Utopia, which was what got me into the burner community, and like listeners, I'm sorry, you guys have heard this story 100 times if you're a regular. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember if it was 2012 or 13. But anyway, the first night was Friday night. I get there Friday morning. Friday night, I end up eating a bunch of mushrooms, and end up having the most challenging trip I've ever had. And the long and short of it was that, you know, I've been navigating the entertainment industry for a while. So like the way that I would go into these rooms where I'd get a lot of anxiety, like you were describing when you're in London, wasn't your scene. Yeah. So like I walk into a room and there's all these artists and manager types and there's all these divas and personalities, and the way that I would psych myself up to like break past that and do the networking I need to do is to, you know, tell myself this, like, you're fucking Arash. You're going to own this fucking room. So I get to Utopia and I start to feel that anxiety because it was my introduction into the community. And I eat the mushrooms and I start to feel anxiety and I'm like, you're Arash. You're going to own this fucking event. And the mushrooms are like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Shut the fuck up. So I end up having this like very somber night of exploring, which is again exactly what I needed. Like I needed that gut check. Yeah. And at one point, I end up next to my friend Samazon, who I've known for many years. And so she's like one of the many people that I'm connecting with that night that I'm just like not saying much. And they're telling me, they're just talking to me and telling me what I'm looking at and what I'm experiencing. And then blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you know, like Lee Reynolds. And I'm like, blah, blah, Lee Reynolds. And I look up and there you are spinning. And I'm like, oh shit, that's Lee Reynolds. Because I was familiar with you before I discovered the scene. That's hilarious. And so I remember, and I asked her, I was like, so have you met him? Have you talked to him? And because she just started DJing at that time, I think, and she's like, no, I haven't really sat down and talked to him yet. But we were just kind of looking at you, and we're like, oh, look at the confidence and the swagger. It's all so perfect, and we're just totally like star fucking you.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, like that experience downloaded into my brain.
That's awesome.
So ever since then, whenever I would run into you out and about at some sort of event, I happened to be on something. And every time, and every time I'd see you, I'd want to come say hi, but immediately I'm like, I can't just go say hi to the Reynolds. And so like, and I'm not typically that person. Like I don't get starstruck, but then every time I'm out with you, like for some reason that part of my brain would just switch back on. And I'd be in situations where people say like, oh, you just want to go say hi to Lee? I'm like, no, I can't say hi to Lee. Like, that's really weird, but okay. So it's interesting. So I wonder if that was, if it was the same year that we were having that experience.
Probably was. That probably was.
You were like up high, like the stage.
Yeah, that was like crazy stage. Yeah, I remember that. That was super fun. I had a great time.
What brought you out? Was it Desert Hearts that came out to that?
No, it was just me. I think there were a few of us out there. I was playing with Pork Chop a little bit, and Marbs.
Pouring more wine.
I remember. Yeah, thank you. Cheers. I remember that. I was on a mission that night because my wife decided not to come. So I'm like, okay, well, in that case, I'm not going to like bring all the camping stuff. Whatever. I'm just going to go in for one night and just like, charge through, and which I think I managed to do. I had to do the walk of shame in the morning and like go around retrieving like different things from... I was on my way to where I thought that I had left my jacket the night before, and I was walking by like one camp, and they were like, "Hey, Lee." I'm like, "What up?" Like, "Hey, we got your jacket over here."
That's great. Oh, that's funny. So what was your feeling about Utopia versus like the Burn?
I thought it was really good, especially since it's like so close. Yeah, so convenient. Yeah, we're lucky to have that spot out there to do stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, no, we have a pretty remarkable regional burn. I've had a lot of people from different regions tell me that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I've never been to any other regional burns, but I heard it's one of the better ones.
Yeah. Did so what does it feel like artistically, like as a DJ? Like, do you have like favorite places that you like to spin that gives you the most energy, that gives you the most fulfillment? Places you'd be willing to do it for free versus like places like, I'm really gonna need to.
Yeah. I know it's been getting harder and harder to do stuff for free. Just because I don't have a job anymore. Because DJing is my job, and I've been DJing like almost every weekend. So, but yeah, I'm always like willing to do stuff for like charity and like worthy causes like that. Just like hard when you have like like we have managers now, so like everything has to go through them, so it's like I gotta convince them that I should be able to do it. Yeah. But on the flip side, and I also, have done my fair share of free stuff.
Yeah. No, you paid your dues. I don't think that's up for debate. But I mean, like, aside from obviously the Desert Hearts festivals, like, are there other venues and parties that you really enjoy, like that stand out to you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, venue-wise, there's a lot of cool ones. I really like Public Works in San Francisco.
We saw Doc Martin there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm playing there this Saturday. I'm actually playing with Blondish.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, opening up for Blondish, got like a 3-hour set. Played in Denver. Me and Mikey doing Denver on Friday night, and then I'm doing San Francisco on Saturday night. Yeah. But I love that venue just because the sound is so dialed, and I love the owner, Peter. That's always, obviously that's like the main thing with any venue. It's like liking the people that own it. But I mean, we just did like the whole City Hearts tour of the US and got to play some amazing venues. The only thing I don't like about some venues is being like disconnected from the crowd. Like I always like to be like really, like even with Desert Hearts, even though we have like a fairly elaborate stage, like we're only raised up about, like 1 or 2 feet, probably about 2 feet. And so people can still come. People can like come right up front, and I like to be able to definitely like see people, and I like to have people around. I don't like it when people aren't allowed in the DJ booth. That's why we don't have like a Desert Hearts. It's not really like, anyone can come in the DJ booth. So I like it to be packed full of people. And, where else?
That's interesting.
Toronto. We've done some really good shows up there. I guess it's more about the people than the venue.
What about the sound? Like, have you like been places where you're like, God, I like this place, but the sound is just ugh.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we don't have to talk trash about the owners. But
Yeah.
Standard. I will.
Yeah,
every time I go to Standard in LA, I'm like, God, how do you guys keep booking these amazing DJs and your sound sucks?
Right. Yeah, like I said,
Sorry,
we're pretty lucky.
Standard.
We're pretty lucky we hooked up with the Funkwork guys because, as far as like San Diego and LA, we book them for like everything we do. Like even if the club already has a sound system, we just have them come in and replace it with theirs for the night. Yeah. So it's an investment, but it's worth it because it sounds really good. And then Public Works, they already have a really great Function One system there. So
yeah.
Okay, so tell me about what you're feeling like as far as what's happening right now with Desert Hearts. Like, was there any predictions in your mind that it could have gotten to this?
Yeah, they are funny. People always ask me that, and like I said, I did have some kind of a feeling like the first party that we had. And I also think that in order for anything to like get to a certain level, you kind of have to have that thought in your head. It's like you have to really believe it's going to happen. If you don't believe it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. So I'm not that surprised because all of us have been like focusing on it so hard. But I think just like the collective energy of the 5 of us that work on it full time, and the fact that we're all like so close, and I mean we really are like best friends and love each other, that I think that's just, it's like exponential, like I couldn't have manifested it this quick, but like our combined like manifestation efforts and the fact that we meet once a week at least to like get together and like reinforce that, and like it's like we meet and then we like usually eat together and party a little bit together and like just talk about like what we want and what we want to happen. And I feel blessed that it like happened so quick, definitely. Yeah. But
was there things that you were seeing that looked similar to things that you'd seen earlier on in your adventures that made you think like, okay, this is definitely something that's happening? Like, what was a big thing that stood out in your mind that made you really believe, aside from just people saying they want to do it?
Well, like after we started, then things that like inspired. Obviously, a lot of things inspired us to start it, but like things that like reinforced it for me. Well, like I said, after the first one, we got like a lot of like positive feedback from people, but I think there was a couple into it that like, and I mean, I haven't had this weekend in San Diego where people were coming up to me and people say like Desert Hearts changed my life or whatever, but and I'll always be kind of like, oh yeah, and then they're like, no, they're like, honestly, like Desert Hearts changed my life. It like before I didn't realize that people could like exist together like this and like love each other. And after the first Desert Hearts, we decided that we needed to have some kind of like ethos or whatever, and so we decided it was going to be about love for sure. Like it had to be about love because that's the only like real thing anyways, right? I mean, it's the only thing you can take from this life with you, I think. So so it's always been about love. And I've had some people come up to me and take me aside and say, after Desert Hearts gave me the strength to quit heroin.
Wow.
Like I've had that one a couple of times. That was like always amazing.
Wow.
And then another friend was like, after my first Desert Hearts, I went home and came out to my parents. And like he was in like his, he wasn't that young. He's in his like mid-20s. So it's obviously been like taking him a while to get the courage to do that. And there's been at least one baby conceived at Desert Hearts. That's alive now.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than I know.
Yeah. So I don't share the following opinion, but I'm sure you guys like have heard from some people that like the people are like, okay, Desert Hearts is ruining Burning Man. Have you heard that one? Like, what do you guys think?
I haven't heard that we're ruining Burning Man.
Never the community, the culture. Yeah.
I've heard.
They're like, you're bringing in all the pretty people.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that think. Yeah, we've heard like some negative feedback stuff recently, and it affects me more than anybody, which is good because I think I'm kind of like the conscience of Desert Hearts in a certain way, because I could see, like the rest of the guys are in their 20s, so it's a lot easier for them to say, fuck those guys, whatever. And like me, I'm like, I take it all to heart, and I can see where people are coming from, but like, yeah, I think we're like misunderstood. Like people, in a way, like, if people are that quick to judge and think they know what's going on, then maybe I shouldn't give them time of day and I shouldn't worry about it. But yeah, like we just it upsets me because I know we have like the best intentions. We've like a lot of people think that we have like big investors behind us or whatever to do this, and we haven't like borrowed a dime. We're like we put like everything we have into it. We've like done it all from just like ticket sales and like whatever. We're like barely making any money. I mean, we're like barely getting by off this stuff, So it's like when people think that we're just like trying to capitalize on it and do this and do that, like we're actually, I mean, we are really trying to do good things and like spread love and I don't think it like there's been a lot of talk about like the underground reason. I've heard that like a lot, that term being put out like, oh yeah, they're not underground or whatever. It's like, what does that mean? Like is underground like an exclusive thing that only like a certain few people are allowed to be in or whatever? It's like, if people like the music and want to come out and have fun, then it should be, we definitely don't want Desert Hearts to ever be exclusive or anything like that.
No, that's, I mean, my feeling has always been about, the burner community as a whole is different people come in for different reasons. And whatever is the bait, the hook that brings you in, that may open the path to other experiences. So, you might come in initially because you see hot people and the music that you like, but then once you're there, you have a spiritual experience and you decide, you know what, I'm going to come out to my parents.
Yeah. No,
so if that's the growth thing that comes out of it, ultimately different people come into it for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely met people at Desert Hearts that were like, like I didn't even really like house and techno, but I heard the vibe was really good here, and I'm sure, they heard that there were a lot of cute girls, and then they come in like, but the music was amazing. I'm like hooked now, So yes, whatever it takes to like turn people onto it.
Yeah, that's the thing about, I mean, as a trance guy, like that's been the frustrating thing about it for me, and that's what's gotten me more into house and techno. Because the vibe, the community is more interesting. So I find myself having more peak experiences amongst the house and techno heads than I did with the trance kids. Right.
It's
association.
I think it's like, especially when you're doing a party like ours that goes for 3 days straight. It's like that kind of tempo and groove. I think it's like just a little bit more sustainable. Like other things like trance and drum and bass, like as you can go in and do like one really hard like night of that stuff, and then that's good. But like it's like, I think the music we play,
it's like a jog versus a sprint.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of elements of like progressive and trance are kind of coming back into the house scene at the moment for sure. There's definitely. The music's definitely getting a little bit more like trancey, and like I said, I feel like everything's kind of coming back together. Yeah,
definitely. People are getting a little more experimental. They're feeling less of the need to stick to one specific genre. Like they can play around a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think that's also been part of Desert Heart's success, is because there's been like deep house has really like taken over the scene recently, and like I'd say for the most part we don't really play deep house. I mean. I'm not really good with genres, but I think the stuff we play would be a little bit more upbeat than it's like more like tech house. I don't know what you want to call it. I hate that term, tech house too. House, techno. I don't know.
Where do you find your music predominantly?
Beatport.
Do you spend just a lot of time just digging through, or like are people sending you music?
People send us a lot of music, and Beatport. And friends give me stuff, and then I still like digitize stuff from vinyl as well.
Really?
Yeah, I still have tons of records.
Because the stuff is not available digitally?
Yeah, old stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'll try and find it digitally because it's a little less hassle than recording it. But I don't mind recording. I have a nice sound card, and I have a turntable set up at home.
That's interesting. Does everybody do that in the crew, or predominantly you?
Just me, I think.
Yeah, because you have all the records sitting there. And that is the interesting thing about electronic dance music, is that you can play stuff from like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and
it sounds fresh.
Can't tell the difference a lot of times.
Yep.
If you're playing it in the proper set, it's kind of like the oregano that's been sitting on your shelf. Like, it's not bad. Right. You can still throw it into this too. Yep. That's interesting.
Sometimes you just need to EQ it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
EQ the oregano.
Yeah.
So, if you could go back in time right now and give advice to younger Lee, what would be the first piece of advice that would pop in your mind?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to risk. I feel pretty lucky. Yeah. I could go back and give myself some advice and like fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Like some Back to the Future shit.
Yeah. Butterfly effect type shit. Yeah. That's interesting. You
I actually wouldn't change. Like, I do think about that sometimes. Obviously, like I wonder. Like, sometimes I felt like I should have like just kept riding my bike a little bit longer. Like, a lot of my like friends that I used to ride with ended up being like major like X Games champions and like making a ton of money or whatever. But then I'm like, if that had happened, then I probably wouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
So can't really change anything.
You've always been, like you're saying earlier, pretty positively minded, like thinking about the next day. Where did that come from?
God, I don't know. That's a good question.
Your mom pretty positively minded?
Yeah, fairly positive, but like English people aren't like super motivated. I mean, I don't know. They wouldn't have done a lot of the stuff I do, but they definitely they helped me out a lot for sure. But they were all pretty bummed out that I ran away to America.
How often do you talk to them?
Yeah, like every couple of days. I speak to my mom a lot. Yeah.
What do they think about what's going on here?
Oh, they're happy. They're happy. Yeah. She was never too supportive of the BMX thing, just because she didn't like seeing me like break bones and like, smash my teeth out. And
she's like, "Oh, that's good. You're a DJ now."
Little does she know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. I've always been pretty optimistic. I think I actually didn't even realize it. Like one of the first, when I was in a BMX magazine, one of these BMX magazines, they had a caption. It was like Lee. Always happy with the way things are going, Reynolds. I'm like, am I? I guess I am.
Yeah, because that's not common. Like, there's a lot of people. Most people are trying valiantly to have your mindset.
Right.
Like, I'm 34, and I'd say like in the past like maybe 3 years.
Yeah,
it's finally come around to that. But that took like years of therapy and work and meditation and DMT to get to this place.
I would definitely say that marijuana has been like a huge savior for me. That's like my medication, because I'm pretty highly strung, and that like definitely keeps me in check.
Yeah, your energy is definitely like
I mean, I always have to be doing something. I'm always like working on music or picking out tracks or doing graphic stuff or.
How do you have any difficulty like staying on top of like productivity?
I'm not a very good like forward thinker. I always like barely think like a week ahead. So
how do you stay organized?
I've been trying to eliminate the things in my life that need to be organized. Yeah. Like I don't know. I just give like devoting like half an hour to like real world stuff in the morning, like paying my bills and stuff like that, so then I can like dive into being creative. I know it's funny, like some people ask me like how I do so much, like not so much at the moment, but there was a while where it definitely seemed like I was doing a lot, and at the same time my wife was on my case for not doing enough. So it's just like like funny how like some people perceive you as like being so productive, and then so the person closest to you is like, what do you do with your time?
Yeah.
But I've been blessed that like as of like a year ago, pretty much the beginning of the year last year, we were all able to like just focus on Desert Hearts and we've been getting we've been doing a lot of DJ gigs personally and stuff too. And then, like I said, I have a vintage clothing store, so that my wife runs.
Yeah. Hunt and gather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been like, that's why I've been like working on music again. I have like a release coming out on Desert Hearts Records next with my buddy Machino, and so yeah, it's just like life's like perfect right now. I feel like, you know, like I raised my kids and they're gone. Like my one kid's like studying environmental studies at UC Santa Cruz, so that's like great. And we moved like an apartment above our shop became available, so we moved in there, and it's like cut my rent in more like half basically, and getting to travel around. You know, I was just down at Envision Fest in Costa Rica, which was amazing, and then we did our like New Year's party in Tulum, which was amazing, and and I just like try and I try not to forget that. That's the thing. I think like every day, like especially when I'm in the shower, I try and just take like a minute and just be thankful for what I have, and you know, like feel free to give me more. I'm ready.
When did you guys open Hunt and Gather?
7 years ago.
7 years.
Yeah, we just had our 7-year anniversary.
What was the catalyst?
Oh, like I said, my wife was working for Callaway, the golf company up in North County, and they ended up getting bought out by Adidas, and they moved the design department to Miami, but she didn't want to move out there, so she took a severance. And at the same time, our friend had a shop that they were selling. It was called Neighborhood. So she basically sold us that, you know, we
remember Neighborhood.
We basically took over her store, but she took the name. She wanted to keep the name, so we renamed it. And then that was like our start. We were in that location about a year and a half, and then this spot opened up in North Park, so we moved over there. And
where was Neighborhood?
Been great. The Neighborhood was in University Heights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Behind Cream Coffee Shop.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then so.
And then the whole the Hunt and Gather is just is really symbiotic with Desert Hearts, because you know it's like we wear crazy stuff. Obviously, I'm like kind of well known, I guess, for wearing like crazy shirts and stuff, and now like, you know, people come in the shop and want crazy shirts. And it gets really busy before Desert Hearts. It gets really, really busy before Burning Man. Burning Man's like so great for us, like because everyone wants like, you know, fur coats for the nighttime, and so it's good. We felt like we definitely like found our little niche, and like I said, it's been 7 years now, so we don't do any marketing or anything really. So it's like now it's like been going long enough that just enough like people know about it, and we don't have to like bug people to come in.
Yeah. How long have you and Zoe been together?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? We have 2 grandkids and 1 grandkid due in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, just a baby shower yesterday for our 3rd grandkid.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you have any relationship advice for those of us trying to find a way to make that happen?
Yeah, well, I guess you know, you always meet people when you're not looking, first of all, right? Because like I said, I was married when I met Zoe. But and the cool thing was that we were friends for 4 years before we started dating, so like I already knew exactly who she was. Like, so
what was the, so that's
actually
always
like someone gave me some really good dating advice, which she was like, start dating someone. He's like, take him to Burning Man with you, because like that's equivalent to a year's worth of dating in 1 week. It's like it's make or break it. Like you either leave and like you're like together forever, or like you won't even leave together.
There was because there's a video of like this bachelor party. Yeah, feel free to move the Dare Bear. There's a video of this bachelor party where like I guess like the story. What happened is that some of the guys from the bachelor party saw that there's Bill Murray was sitting at another table. So they pop over to Bill Murray's table and they say like, hey, would you mind, like, we're having a bachelor party, like, do you think you could just say a few words to the bachelor? And Bill Murray, like, respectfully declines. He's like, I'm having dinner. He's like, okay, no worries. So they go back to their table, and then, so this is where the cell phone footage picks up, is, I guess, like, Bill Murray, on his way out, pops back over to the table, and he says, listen, I don't have any advice for the rest of you, for, like, the bachelor here. It's too late for him. But for the rest of you guys, when you meet somebody, here's what you do. You think this person might have potential. Immediately buy tickets around the world. Go travel the world. Don't take anything with you. Just like have that adventure. If you come back after traveling the world and you're not ready to kill each other, get on your knees and marry that person like right there in the airport. And I told that story to somebody and their response was what you just described. You're like, go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
You think somebody might be it? Go to Burning Man.
You'll find out.
And I wonder because, I mean, it's your first year. Like, if it's like your first time, though, I don't know. If they've never been together, like, if they've never been before.
If neither of them have been, yeah.
Yeah. That would be a whole different thing.
But no, like, I knew, she has, like, best taste in music,
She's a bit of a fashion icon in the community herself.
She, like, helps me with my fashion.
Yeah.
We were both, like, we both, like, dabbled in, like, clothing stuff. We're both obsessed with The Cure.
Yeah.
Completely obsessed with The Cure. Who we're actually we're gonna go. We have tickets to go see them in a couple of weeks in Hollywood, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Is there anything that she's into that you're totally not into?
Not really, actually.
You're into
Not really.
everything. Best friends, hang out all the time.
If she goes to the mall to get like things, I'll avoid that. But she doesn't do that very often anymore.
Yeah.
We're always out like looking for stuff together. We love like thrift store shopping and swap meeting, and then she comes out all the time when she travels with me a lot and like comes to my shows as much as she can.
Yeah.
So I can't think. Oh, yoga. She goes to. So that's like the one thing we don't do together because she's always trying to talk me into going to yoga, and I'm like, don't you want like an hour away from me?
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah.
I know. I'm like, I'll just work on music. I'm like, it's too late for me.
What is there anything about a successful marriage that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things about you guys that's not traditional.
Yeah.
But even with our community, even with all the weird people, like what is like a piece of advice you would give that would say that's good for a successful marriage?
I think you just have to have like mutual respect and be able to listen, and if you're a guy, just be prepared to pretend to agree.
Man, that advice is universal, isn't it?
Yeah.
No matter where you go and how untraditional you are.
There's certain times where you just got to bite your tongue and be like, yeah, you're right.
They're a lot more patient than we are.
Yeah.
Thing. I mean, I know that I was in a 6-year relationship. I mean, that was before that was 3 years. It's just
that's a long time.
Yeah, it's you think like you logically have won the argument because like logic prevailed.
Yeah.
But all you know is your life becomes miserable for the week after.
Yeah. It's not.
You don't know how that happened. But it just happens. Yeah. What are you excited about next?
I'm excited to. I have like some solo shows coming up, so that's cool. And then we're gonna start like another City Hearts tour in a couple of months, so that'll be fun. It's always fun traveling with the boys. It's like fun traveling by yourself, isn't it? But it's always fun traveling with your best buddies.
Yeah. How do you guys travel? You guys all stuff in a van?
No, we fly. We've been flying most places. Yeah. Always end up like the last one was pretty brutal because we were doing like 2 shows a weekend. So, we'd like get back to our hotel at whatever time in whatever condition, and then try and sleep and be like, hey, we gotta get to the lobby, get to the airport, get on a plane, fly to another city, go straight to the club usually or whatever.
Yeah, that does sound brutal.
Going from like different like extreme weather conditions like Miami where it was like, t-shirt weather all night, and then the weekend before that we were in Toronto where it was like minus 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
So if you could envision sort of like where this is all going, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I want us to just to take Desert Hearts, just keep spreading the message, and because I think we have a good message, and so far I think we've done pretty good at like taking it around the US, but we've been doing a lot of like club venues. I'd rather do like warehouses and something a little bit more, like special, I guess. and figure out a way to take the festival into other markets. Maybe not quite as big as we are here, but like find a way to take like a mini version of Desert Hearts to other places and worldwide. We definitely want to like figure out how to, you know, get more into Europe and work on more music. The record label, I want to focus on the record label. That's been doing pretty good.
How many different artists have you released through the record label?
I think we're on our 14th release right now, which is going to be me and my friend Machino. And so yeah, we have a lot lined up too. So meeting a lot of like really cool people, and like there's a lot of like really talented people, and well, everywhere obviously.
Yeah. Do you guys have record label experience prior to this, or are you kind of learning as you go?
No. Yeah. Mikey's running the label, so he's learning a lot, and that was like.
What can a record label offer in this day and age, where pretty much everybody can release stuff on SoundCloud?
Mostly promotion. Mostly like just because like Desert Hearts has a pretty big reach now. I guess we have like a pretty good following, so we can. There's not really any money per se, I don't think, to be made from like electronic dance music releases. So, but I think it definitely helps you. It helps you command a better DJ fee and get more DJ bookings. Yeah. That's what it's all about for sure. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But I don't know, Ryan. Well, actually, I guess I do. Like I said, I have I had pretty good luck with visualization, and I felt like we did a good job at like manifesting like what we have now. So then the other day I was thinking, well, if you really can manifest things, then you better start like thinking about like some really good shit. So ultimately I want to change the world, and like I want to make like my ultimate manifestation would be to create like this utopic society that we could all live in, and like everyone could just be their true selves, and no one would have to worry. Everyone looking out for each other, and that's what I want. So,
your title is Minister of Design. By the way, I want to sort of clarify, what is that exactly?
That was when we first started up, and we were making business cards, and everyone decided they had to have like a role. I mean, I do all the design work for Desert Hearts. Lately, I've been getting help from Brian Paulet from San Francisco, who's an amazing artist that we have at Desert Hearts. So we've been taking his artwork and just adding text and stuff. So my job has gotten quite a bit easier in that department. But I mean, there's still a lot of other stuff like the maps and all the stickers and wristbands, and I mean we have like there's pretty much like some kind of graphic that needs to be made every day for Desert Hearts, whether it's like a mix, whatever. So.
Do you have difficulty ever like focusing on doing design when you have like things that need to be done for like hunt and gather, for example, like work shit?
Taxes. I've been like terrible about. I was been neglecting hunt and gather pretty bad, and my taxes was. The whole tax thing was terrible. I just hate all that stuff.
Yeah.
If I could never see like a pile of paperwork again, I'd be so happy.
How do you stay focused on creating art when that other stuff is there?
I can only do like one thing at a time. I have to say like, all right, well, this is the day that I'm going to like sit down and get all my tax stuff ready. Like basically I'll make an appointment with my like tax accountant because like it's gotten to the point where I can't do it myself anymore because I have like, a couple of businesses. So like make an appointment with her, and then the day before I go see her is the day that I'll like get everything up together. It's like last minute, force yourself to do it. But I can't even like if I'm working on graphics and trying to like listen to music at the same time, I can't, like the music won't even register. The music will just like wash over me. Like I can't like, I just have like,
you're lost in the graphics. I'm
not good at multitasking. It's just like one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And I've always like maintained that like, if you want to be really good at something, then you kind of have to just focus on one thing really anyway.
The one thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I noticed like when I came out to America, like it seemed like there were a lot of people that like had a lot of hobbies, and I was always like, if you just pick one or two of those, you might actually be good at it.
yeah. Well, that's what you just described, the problem every artist has. Yeah.
Everyone's like, there's so many distractions today. Yeah.
What's next for you? Like, what are you looking for next? That's not even music or art related, just even in your personal life. Is there any new things you're picking up, your personal family things?
Yeah, I just more of this, what's happening, like more of what I'm doing. I'm like not in any rush to get to like, I like the journey that I'm going through. So, I just want to kind of keep going and don't want anything to happen like too quick, I guess. I'm looking forward to like traveling more, and
where do you want to go?
People. I'd love to go to Thailand and Vietnam, and I mean there's a lot of places I haven't been, so I'd love to go to Australia and obviously Peru, and there's a lot of South America that I want to see.
Yeah,
definitely Peru. I mean, I'd like to go to all all the ancient sites like Machu Picchu. I'd love to go to the pyramids. I'd love to go to like Puma Punku and all these like crazy like unexplained places. Yeah. All
right.
Göbekli Tepe.
We will keep an eye out for your Instagram photo of doing a jumping picture in front of Machu Picchu.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Beautiful. Well, Lee, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, there it is. You can tweet me directly at Mr. Arash, and when discussing the show, please do use the hashtag Burner Podcast. You can also catch me on the Crappy Awesome Podcast. It is a weekly interview show and staple in the independent hip-hop community for like 5 years-ish. Find it over at platformcollection.com. Shows are up on Libsyn and SoundCloud first. Libsyn is the broadcasting platform. SoundCloud has the best quality. That's where you can download it and keep it for your personal archives. Because you're like I don't know, who those people? Hoarder. You're a hoarder. You're a podcast hoarder. Which is okay. Yeah, we promote that. But it's also on Stitcher and iTunes and Spreaker and a few other platforms. So you can find the show in a variety of places. Leave us some reviews on iTunes or whatever other avenue you listen to the show on. That would be very nice of you. Our intermission music is by Duckman. Check out his music over at duckmansd.bandcamp.com. And if you're a musician in the community, tweet your music over to Navjeet. He is at I am Navjeet. The Burner Podcast theme song is America's Horse With No Name remix produced by Joman. Check out his stuff over at soundcloud.com/DJ Joman. This episode is produced by, this particular episode is produced by Amber Rose. The executive producer of this show is Meg King. She continues to do all of the things. But this particular episode was produced by Amber Rose. She's the one that made this interview happen. If you have questions or suggestions for future guests, however, shoot them over to Meg King. She is on Twitter at @MegKing. Our online editor is Tanasi. He writes and curates the blog. You can reach him by shooting him a message at burnerpodcast.com. Hope you'll join us next time. We do release new episodes on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. So until next time, love and light and all that other crap. Good night.